Easy, it's rewarding, and it's available now. To learn how regenerations can help sustain your farm's legacy, contact your local ADM representative for details at 217-451-8399. That's 217-451-8399.
Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. In studio with us today, Mr. Jim Peck is the principal of Clinton Junior High School. Good morning, Mr. Peck.
Good morning, Seth. Thanks for having me.
I can't believe we're having a back-to-school talk already. Oh, my gosh. Summer went by way too fast, I feel like.
It did.
Yeah.
July flew by for me, for sure, but we're ready. So
for sure, yeah. Next week, we get the kids back 8 more days, and they're back in the building. But before we talk about them back in the building, Mr. Peck, there's a lot going on. I know tonight you've got a cookout to kind of get the kids back and talk school, promote some things. What's going on?
Yeah, so we've got our back-to-school cookout tonight. This will be, I think, our 6th year of doing it. It's a really great event. We've kind of transitioned this to really kind of being our open house. Gives the kids an opportunity to get things into their lockers and get all of that settled. Because if you're waiting until the first day to do that, then it's kind of crazy, right?
Right.
So this is a good night to do that. We'll have several staff members that'll be there to help out with finding where you need to go on your schedule or helping with lockers. There's always seems to be some of those lockers that stick or don't work. So we've got people making a list so that the next morning we can fix those for them. And then it's free food for any and all of the Clinton families that come on by. So we'll be grilling up hot dogs. And I did send an email out that, hey, we might have some weather, but we got a backup plan for that where maybe I'll have to find a shaded spot to cook, but we'll be ready to roll. And it's also a great night just to learn more about the opportunities in our building with our clubs and those types of things. So
sure.
It's a fun event.
Very good. And I don't know what junior higher that doesn't like hanging out in the rain and being silly in the rain. So that should be a good time either way. Now, what kinds of, we just had Tammy Wilson in from the Vault. She was talking about, they'll be out there to talk about their programs.
Yeah.
Who else is going to be here?
So from our building, we'll have representatives, teacher reps from our student council, yearbook, our junior high ag department will be in full force, and Maroon Buddies and Skills USA. So those are several of our student groups and opportunities that kids have to get involved while they're in junior high. We'll also have the Vault, as Tammy mentioned, and then the DeWitt County 4-H is going to be joining us this year. This will be their first time coming out. I'm big about just what are those other opportunities that kids have. I think we think a lot about, hey, you can play baseball or you can go out for cross country, but there are some kids that athletics aren't their thing. There's kids that do athletics that want to do other stuff too, and so just getting as many opportunities to be involved in something is so big in this age.
And I remember you telling me in our last interview when we were kind of wrapping up the school year, the opportunities provided at the junior high are almost unmatched. For a community our size, but also the junior high, that age group.
I took a new family through the building on registration day, and we got down our main hallway. And if you've been in our building, the end of our main hallway is our ag shop, and then our family consumer science area with full kitchen lab. And they looked in the shop and like, oh, those are real machines. So we got a chance to talk about all the things that we do down there. It's just, you're right. In high school, I don't think I had the opportunities that some of our junior high kids have in our building, which is just a great thing to be able to offer.
For sure. So highlighting some of those opportunities as well. And, I don't know if there's the situation where maybe students and families can't make it out tonight, but how do you promote those things if they're not at this type of an event?
That's a really great thing to bring up. So we're back in the office. The office is open. And we've had some families that have come in and said, hey, we can't make it Wednesday night. Can we still head down to our locker? Those types of things. So we're absolutely accommodating those. And this isn't the only opportunity to find out what the ag program does or what the yearbook club is. Those all be promoted when kids get back to. So we like to make sure that, hey, we give the opportunity for families to be in, but we know there will be some that can't make it. And them, so.
Very good. So and like you said, I mean, it's more than junior high. The junior high experience anymore is more than just sports. There's so much to be had. So looking forward to all those things getting back up and going on day one, which is again next Wednesday. Can't believe it's already here. Anything else on the cookout tonight? groups going to be there? What did we miss there?
No, I think we covered everything really for the cookout tonight. It's just a great opportunity to catch staff, and especially for I think our new sixth graders that are coming over, or if you're new to the building because you've moved into town. It's just a chance to kind of ease one of those first like anxieties of being in the building and knowing where things are.
Yeah, definitely. There's also another opportunity kind of getting junior high or sixth graders in before everybody else. Speak to that for me, if you will.
So our actual first day of student attendance on the 16th is just sixth graders here at the junior high for our building. We spend a lot of time that day really highlighting some of the things that we know as a new sixth grader students need to know, or we know are things that need to be brought up. So, a simple one is there's one station just devoted to figuring out how to open your locker. That's always the big thing. Like, how do I do that? And I'm really worried. That's the big nervous thing, right? But then we have stations devoted to, how do you handle stress and what are some things that you could do when you do feel stressed out? We've got a station that just involves on how do you get involved, right? So some of the same things that students might be seeing tonight, then we've got some devoted time to talk more about those. So we spend a lot of our morning on the 16th in our stations. Really, it's a great orientation. And then the afternoon after lunch is a chance for students to actually walk through their schedule and meet every one of their teachers. So they spend about 15 minutes in each class in the afternoon. We go over dismissal expectations because that's going to be, it's very different from CES, how we dismiss at the junior high. So just a lot of stuff that, those first day worries, when we could just hit it with the sixth graders, I think it makes the year off to a better start.
For sure. Now, do you find that, and I just kind of thought of this as you were talking there, but do you find that students that maybe had an older sibling go through the junior high, are they as nervous as maybe someone that's a new sixth grader? What do you find there?
I think it probably just depends on the kid.
Okay.
I try to think back to when I was coming into junior high. I was the oldest in my family, and so I was super nervous. So maybe there was that aspect of it when my brother came a few years later, where it was like, oh, he's been through this, and we probably talked about it. So I think there is that, but I think every student individually probably still has some of those anxieties and things.
Sure.
Junior high is a hard age, and coming in from CES where, things are very, very structured. I think, you're with your own pod and your own class and you travel with them. There's just so much different in the junior high where you have
a lot more autonomy,
a lot more freedom. So
why did you pick junior high, Mr. Peck?
I love it. I do. I think my wife may tell you that it's kind of turned me back into a junior higher in some aspects, which honestly is okay. I tell the kids a story usually every year at the beginning. Junior high was really tough for me, at least in seventh grade. Like I remember my seventh grade year. I don't have any hair now, but when I did have hair, I was like almost pulling it out because I was so nervous or whatever about whatever was going on, and I can't pinpoint it now what that was.
Right.
But so I think it gives me a chance to connect with those kids when there are those things going on and just have that personal experience. But as I got into teaching, it was the group that I just connected with. I loved it. So,
interesting stuff. Now, there to the back to that discussion about getting kids acclimated to the building and the routines and those sorts of things. The thing about school anymore, Mr. Peck, is it's almost a 365 day a year building. It doesn't necessarily always shut down in the summer.
Right.
There's kids there for sports and those sorts of things. What are kids in the buildings right now for?
Man, so this summer has been very different because the high school had so much construction going on. So we really didn't have a break in our building as every group of athletics was over there. Right now for the junior high, though, if you drive by, cross country's outside running. They start about 8 o'clock every morning. I've told them I was going to join them one day, but I haven't done that yet. So we've got that. Softball and baseball have obviously started their games. And then today, tomorrow, and Friday, band camp is happening. Mr. Wheeler and Mr. Hendricker have them big group already in the band room as I walked by this morning. So
and they're out on the practice field for the football field a little bit.
They will be all over. This is for some of our kids the first time that they're marching. Right, they've got their parade coming up for homecoming. So especially our seventh graders, just figuring out what that's all about, and the fact that they can get them to do everything they need to do and play music in 3 days of band camp, and then the beginning of the year, they do an awesome job. With that group.
Definitely. What else is happening this summer with the kids or the facility?
Facility, we've had a few upgrades, not as many obviously as the high school. We do have, if you walk into the cafeteria, you'll notice brand new signage, brand new paint. We really tried to embrace our color scheme. You know, some of the things left over in the cafeteria were from the old building. We had some of the old banners and some of those things. So just updating that. Very soon we're gonna be looking at new floor in the cafeteria and our restroom areas. That was one thing this summer we weren't able to get to just with the construction and some of the other places. So we've really trying to spruce it up. The building's almost 20 years old. You wouldn't know it sometimes we walk through it, but there are some things that it's time to update. So,
yeah. I know I asked you about the students with the siblings, and they're getting accustomed to the building and stuff. How about kids that are coming in before for like sports or whatever other activities are going on? Do they have an advantage when it comes to being accustomed to the building and such?
I think the main advantage for those that might be doing something already like band or sports is more just kind of being back into a routine a little bit earlier. So maybe that first day doesn't seem so out of whack for them because, hey, I've been getting up and coming to cross country. I've been doing this with bands. So kind of a theme for me when I talk to parents and kids, the more you're involved in stuff, the better it's going to be. And when it's one of those things like just getting acclimated to things early in the year.
Yeah, definitely. Do you find because when I was in school, when we went to junior high, we had, 3 different schools feed into one building. And then when I went to high school, we had, 5 different schools feed into one building. Do you find most of the kids that come into your building already know each other?
Yeah, for sure. I think the big time when that happens for our kids is probably second grade in Clinton when Lincoln and Douglas merges into CES. But by the time they get to us, everybody has been together. Obviously, we have our new move-in students every year. But I tell those new 6th graders, if they're moving to Clinton in 6th grade, that's a great time to move because everybody's coming to the junior high and it's a new experience for them. Even though
everybody's on the same
everybody's pretty much on the same page. Yes, you're gonna meeting new people will be the big thing, but in terms of the school experience, nobody's been here in this building in your grade level before. Right,
so, definitely. Very good. Mr. Peck, anything about getting back to school? What did I miss that you wanted to put out there for us today?
No, I think I'd like to highlight just some of our new staff members.
Yeah, let's go through that for sure.
We've hired Tim Briley. He is going to be joining us. He's actually coming from Morton, but he's going to be our 8th grade PE teacher.
Okay.
So Mr. Bass, who's the high school football coach, he's moving over to the high school. So we had to fill his position. Luke Rudolph is a brand new 22-year-old ISU grad, and he's joining us. And I think back to when I was starting and all the excitement. He was in for new teacher orientation yesterday. Really excited. He's going to be PE and health.
Okay.
So replacing Mrs. Marquis, who retired.
Monticello kid, right?
Monticello kid.
I remember him playing baseball. Holy
he
cow.
played, I think, baseball and soccer and had quite a few. He's got a lot of siblings. And so he's really excited about being here. Really, really happy to be in education. And then Kristen Wilson, who was 4th grade at CES, has moved over to fill up a spot in 6th grade for math.
Sure.
So those are our 3 new staff members that are at the junior high this year.
All right.
Excited to get started.
Wow. How about that? Yeah. How about that? Very good. So a lot of new, not a lot, but some new faces at the junior high, but you got to be excited about that.
Yeah. Very excited to have them on board. 3 really motivated people that all seem to have the best for kids in mind.
Yeah.
And that's what we want.
For a school with the staff your size, having 3 new hires feels like a really low number for a new year.
Yeah, we've been I don't know if I want to say lucky or if it's just been, our culture and atmosphere at our building. We haven't had a ton of new hires the last few years. We've got some retirements coming up and we know there are going to be some spots to fill. But really we've been able to keep a lot of the staff intact over the last few years. And that just helps with consistency and all of those things that go into running the building and having a successful year. It's been great. So
very good. Well, Mr. Peck, let's take a break here. How do folks follow along with everything you've got going up leading to the first day of school?
I think the 2 easiest ways, my Instagram account. So Mr. Peck CJHS is a great place to kind of see what's going on. But then the Clinton Junior High School Facebook account is a great one too. Both of those kind of share the same things, but just depending on what social media platform you're on, you'll be able to get a lot of information through those.
Easy enough. Very good. Mr. Jim Peck is the principal of Clinton Junior High School, our guest in studio this morning. More to come with him on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Your Farm Bureau membership. Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn slightly lower, beans higher, wheat trading double-digit lower. September corn down 483 3/4. December corn down 1 3/4, 497. March corn 510.5 down 1 3/4. August beans 1436 up 6. September beans up 5.5, 1359. November new crop up 3.5, 1309.5. September wheat 639.5 down 16 3/4. December wheat down 15 3/4, 665 3/4. August bean meal 436 even up 280. August bean oil up 25 cents, 66.83. Livestock market August feeders 247.32 up $1.32. August live cattle up 70 cents, 180.40. August lean hogs 101.52 down 57 cents. Energy market September crude oil up $1.07, 83.99. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
Your own home without the maintenance. If you're 55 or better, a beautiful Liberty Village villa could be yours. This is Erin, and I invite you to come take a tour of our move-in ready villa. Click the Liberty Village icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Simply the finest.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
If you're looking for a local, full, or part-time job in Central Illinois, there's an easy place to go to find current job openings. It's IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. You'll find jobs available near you. And the best part is that it's free for candidates to access 24/7. If you want a local job when you don't have to spend a lot of money on gas to get to, then you want access to IllinoisJobPost.com to check out current local job openings. That web address again is IllinoisJobPost.com. Another service from your friends at the Miller Media Group.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. My guest in the studio this morning is Mr. Jim Peck. He is the principal of Clinton Junior High School. And Mr. Peck, I know we hear often at like school board meetings about building development and, you know, the things you're focusing on as a staff. What are some of those things that are coming up this year?
Sure. You know, this year as our staff, we're really going to be looking into, you know, as a school, you have a ton of data points. You have a ton of things like test scores and attendance and discipline data and all of that. And how are we using that data to make good decisions for kids?
Okay.
I think you can get bogged down in numbers in any profession, but really in a school, like if you were to log into my Skyward, I can go 20 different directions on what I want to look at. And so it's narrowing down what are the important things.
Yeah.
And then as a staff learning, all right, we have these numbers, we have this data. What do we do with it, and how does that help us? And so we're partnering quite a bit with our regional office of education. Obviously, off the air, I mentioned Kara Jensen, our new director of teaching and learning at the unit office, who's going to be a big help with those types of things.
Sure.
So if I had to pinpoint, you know, one big direction, it's going to be looking at that type of stuff as we go this year.
So what I mean, as you and you mentioned, I mean, the schools are just overwhelmed with data. I mean, you go to the school report card, and it breaks down just a plethora of things.
Right.
So how do you as an administration, whether it's yourself, Mrs. Jensen, or even Mr. Nettles and soon to be Mr. Goebel, how do you all narrow down what is important out of all those data sets? And then, of course, obviously planning to utilize what you learned from that.
Sure. Well, I think it starts at the top level. We have a lot of discussions. You know, we have 2 admin meetings a month that Mr. Nettles runs with us, really. And so a lot of those discussions start there. But then at the building level, we spend a lot of time identifying who our leaders are and who our teams are at our building level. So I have a couple of different leadership teams that I meet with. So I'll bring things back to them, whether it's surveys, whether it's test scores. And then it's a group effort. For me, my leadership style is never to be top down. This is what you're going to do. There is time for that, but a lot of it, I really try to be collaborative and get input. I think that's important. You know, like we when I was a teacher, I would tell the students this, and I try to tell the staff this. I don't know everything,
Mhm.
and so I want to rely on those people. If you're an English teacher, you're the English expert. If you're a math teacher, you're the math expert. And so getting that feedback and input is important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When it comes to like looking at last year's data, or maybe the last couple of years, because now you have 6th and 7th
Sure.
grade students, and obviously 6th grade or 7th grade students, everything like that. What is their data telling you about their needs and the things they need to work on?
Yeah, well, if you look at assessment scores, I think which I hesitate to say that's the end all be all,
Right,
especially
exactly.
right now. We know there's a learning loss, and we know there's a big gap from our students from COVID shutdown. But I think it shows you, just where we are as a district, but also it's good to be able to compare to the state. But I think we don't put all of our eggs in that basket. It's a focus, but one thing that we're really thinking about more so than what the state data shows us is what's our local data showing us. We do benchmark scores for our English and math 3 times a year. We do one really early on, right after students get their devices in late August, early September. That kind of sets the stage for us, and we try to identify where are those students that are kind of right there on that bubble of exceeding or falling back below that mark. We focus on that. That helps us set some of our courses, because we do have some interventions classes for math and English, and so we get a good read on where students are coming out of the summer right away. So just focusing on that local stuff to me is important.
I'm glad you went there, because that's what I was wondering is, you see those students that are falling behind,
Sure.
and obviously you don't want to over focus that classroom setting on them. So
Sure.
that's probably where those interventions come into play then.
Correct. We identify what are we doing we call it the tier 1 level, right? What are we doing for everybody? And is that sound practice? Is that research based? Are we doing those things, with fidelity? But then identifying, like you said, is it more beneficial to change the entire focus of what I'm doing in my main class, or now we've identified this group of students that we can then work with a little bit closer in those intervention areas?
Yeah, definitely. Do you have intervention people just for that?
So it's a little bit of a mix. We've got Christy Payne is our RTI 504 coordinator, but also works really closely with our interventions.
What's a 504 coordinator?
So she oversees any of our students that have 504s. So that would be
what is a
504 covers like medical needs in the classroom.
Got it.
So
Thank you. Yeah.
a student has a specific diagnosis that might impact the learning
Okay.
in the environment. So she oversees that, but then as part of her title, works with our intervention department. So our intervention department in a small school like ours, also consists of a teacher that might be teaching math to 6th graders. They may also have an intervention class or 2. So then she works hand in hand with those teachers. What are the interventions looking like? What programs are we using? She also teaches a couple of interventions classes as well. So that's kind of how our setup is. With the junior high.
Sure. Very good. Very good. Mr. Peck, 1 minute. What did I miss with you today? You want to put out there for us?
No, I think we covered almost everything. I guess our cell phone policy last year for students, we rolled it out for the first time of students keeping devices in their lockers and keeping them off during the school day. Really, I felt like went really well. I think staff would say it went really well, and I even think probably students and families would say that it went well.
Did you find it limited those issues of that stem from outside the building spilling into the building?
Do. We still had them.
Right.
I don't think that even happened before cell phones, right? But it did limit a lot of the things that might get stirred up during the day as students have access to those devices. And our hope is that it creates a more focused learning environment when students are in the classroom. So our policy has not changed in that. We'll highlight that with students and families when they come back into the building.
Well, Mr. Peck, have a great year. Thank you for making time for us.
Thanks, Seth. I appreciate it.
That is Mr. Jim Peck. He's the principal of Clinton Junior High. Our guest in studio. Network news on the way.
WHOW.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton 92.3 FM.